Hi, I'm Sherry McGill, and you're watching Lessons Learned. Hello, welcome back to Monday Quilt Chat. How was your weekend? I always ask that, don't I? Mine was pretty productive. I worked quite a bit on the ragged flashback quilt. I think I have roughly 3 rows done on that. The lower and upper rows are constructed a little bit different. So I have 3 consistent rows of I don't know if you call it squares. Some of them are squares, some of them are half square triangles. So that's going along good. And I learned something on my machine. I forget sometimes that I have a presser foot pressure knob on the outer left. I have the Baby Lock Jazz 2, and I learned that if I ease up that pressure just by 1 notch, it keeps the top layer of flannel from moving. And you know how sometimes you'll get to the end of when you're putting 2 things together and the top has kind of skid a little bit off of the the bottom edge where you're gonna end up. So I did that, and that made a world of difference. So check out those features on your machine to make sure you're using it to its fullest capabilities, because those things are there to help us, so we should use them. Also, I've been working a lot on these, the Scrappy Stars for the Scrap Challenge this month for No Buy January. And if you stay till the end, you'll see what I have for you on Wednesday as far as a video. What we're going to do with some of our fabric that we already have in our stash, or with scraps for No Buy January. And so far I have 6 of these, and I'm trying to decide if I want to make 9 and make a decent sized table topper, or try to squeeze out 12. I think I have enough crumb quilting yardage for it, but I don't know that I have enough of this newsprint or sewing dictionary pages is what it really is. I'll have to, when I make a couple more, I'll have to, well actually I probably should do it now, count out about exactly how much I have left and see if I'm able to go on and make it as big as I would like to. Probably won't put sashing in between of a different fabric. If I have enough of this, I might create a little space between the stars instead of sewing them directly together. We shall see. So stay tuned for that. Who knows, by Friday I might have a flimsy for you to see. I hope so. And with this one too. So I'm trying to move a little faster, but not get stressed out, so that I can get some things done each week for you to see. And yeah, I'm using my planner here and trying to get things planned out and time slots for everything, so that I can be as productive as possible here in the she shed, in my sewing studio. So hang on to the end and we'll show you what other kinds of projects you'll be seeing on Wednesday. I have been receiving some of your red and whites here. This is not them. These are still the ones that I have. I'm going to open these. Well, I have already opened them, but I'm going to open these fabrics with you. This came from Susan, and it's a couple of pretty decent sized pieces of a little rosebud. Nice. That'll work very nicely. Looks like there's probably couple of quarter yards here. Full quarter yards, not fat quarters. Maybe a little bit more. So a good half a yard here. So I'm going to add that to my stash over here. Thank you, Susan. Very nice. That will be going into our quilt. And then I also have one from Dolores, our friend Dolores. And she sent me a little rosebud. And this is about a third of a yard, maybe. Maybe not quite. Not a full third of a yard, but probably pretty close to it. Thank you, Dolores. And I like these light background ones because I need a little more of those. You see, I have, if you can see, I have 2 stacks of mostly red, and then just this stack of a light background. So I could use a few more of those, but anything you want to send is fine and much appreciated. I think I mentioned before that if you would just send one fat quarter from your stash, don't go buying material that we're not supposed to be buying in January. And I know some of you probably have been getting fabric in that you've ordered a long time ago, and you know it's just now showing up. I have a package to get from So Yeah yet, so it's something I bought on, I think it was New Year's Eve. Yeah, there was just one thing. But yeah, what I was going to say is if you can get a fat quarter in a regular envelope, regular size, you know, like office envelope, just refold it somehow and put 2 stamps on it, that should be enough to get it here. I sent something that way and didn't have problems with it that I've heard of. So, I weighed it, and you typically anything an ounce or under is 1 stamp. So it was like 1.6 or something like that. So I went ahead and put 2 stamps on it. And as far as I know, there was no postage due on it, and it didn't come back to me. So just a little hint there as to if you don't want to go into the post office to get it weighed and all that, you know, you can count on 2 stamps in a regular envelope. And I found that around here, I don't know how your all's post offices are, but we have 2 cities that are kind of like sister cities, and one post office is just as close as the other one, and the one that's actually Jeffersonville, they don't have a scale you can use yourself, so you have to go inside. So generally what they do is they do that priority mail, which is like $10. And it doesn't really matter, you know, if it's a little padded envelope like this, it doesn't matter. They're going to charge you like $9.80 or almost $10 for that. So the other post office, however, they have a scale and a do-it-yourself thing, a self-service, like a kiosk thing there where you can do your own packages and weigh them yourself, and it'll calculate the postage based on the weight, which is way cheaper. So I sent a package the other day that was, I want to say it was 5 ounces, 5.8 ounces, something like that. No telling what that would have costed had I went to the Jeffersonville post office and went to the counter. But me doing it myself, it was less than $3. It was like $2.80, $2.85 or something like that. So try to find ways to send things as cheaply as possible. Certainly don't want anybody sending me something that small and paying $10. That's ridiculous. Don't do that. Just send a small piece in the regular size envelope and put 2 stamps on it, and you'll be fine. So if anybody wants to participate in that, I'm still taking some fabric from you. It's just in the beginning stages, so yeah, there's plenty of time to send fabric if you would like to have a piece in our quilt, our red and white quilt. All right, so last week I started with a new fabric company, to feature a designer in the designer spotlight, and we are still with Northcott. So I'm going to see if I can find it here. I have picked out a new designer already, and let's see, his name is Brett Lewis. So we got a guy this time. Yes, there are designers that are guys. And of course there are. They're just as artistic as females are. So let's go ahead and see what Brett Lewis has in his background as far as what led him to be able to be a fabric designer. He's got a website called Natural Born Quilter. So you can go to naturalbornquilter.com and see more about him. I am reading directly off of Northcott's site here. And by now you have seen a picture of him up here somewhere. It says, Brett has loved nature since his childhood, growing up on a hobby farm in Summerland, British Columbia. He always dreamed of pursuing a career in agriculture. And fast forward 20 years, Brett graduated from the University of Alberta with a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture. These designers have the most interesting backgrounds and educational background as well. Says he now resides in Edmonton, Alberta with his husband and son, where he works full-time for the federal government in an agricultural setting. Brett has always been passionate about color and design, but it was not until he was gifted a baby quilt from his sister-in-law that he became interested in quilting. He was encouraged to take a beginner quilting class and bought his first sewing machine in the spring of 2016. Brett says a lot of his inspiration comes from growing up with a close bond to nature, appreciating the earth's diverse array of plants and animals. Brett discovered quilting to be an amazing artistic outlet. He had always been interested in interior design, but prior to quilting did not find a medium he loved. Brett soon became extremely passionate about quilting and had the nickname Natural Born Quilter bestowed upon him by his sister early in his quilting journey. Brett has attended international quilt markets in the USA, pattern tested for international quilt designers, attended a week-long quilting cruise to Alaska, and has become a certified So Kind of Wonderful instructor. He has been featured in the designer profile section of the acclaimed magazine Love, Patchwork, and Quilting, various podcasts, and instructs his very own EQ8 designed quilt patterns, with classes focusing on foundation paper piecing, fussy cutting, and curves. He loves attending local quilt shows and is an active member in his local quilt guild. Brett debuted his premier fabric collection, Stag and Thistle, with great success at Fall International Quilt Market 2019, and his second fabric collection, Prairie Meadow, will be shipping in September 2021. This was obviously written in the past. Brett describes his quilting style as bright, bold, and eclectic. A little contemporary, mixing modern fabrics with classic patterns. When not in his sewing studio, Brett enjoys working in the garden, going on nature walks as a family, running in Edmonton's River Valley, relaxing at home watching a movie, and traveling to visit family in beautiful British Columbia. So it was mentioned here that he's had a line called Stag and Thistle, that you may have seen in the past, and also Prairie Meadow. And there was also one called Wild, and it has polar bears and wolves on it. And the upcoming one is Water's Edge, and that's what I wanted to show you a few samples out of. And there's one colorway, and it has purple, blue, and green. It comes in a fat quarter bundle. It comes in the tiles, the 10x10s, and course yardage. And there are some Northcott solids that are recommended to go with it. And a whole bunch of patterns are associated with this. I don't know how many of them are free, but go to northcott.com and look up Brett Lewis Water's Edge, and you'll see all those listed there. But if you look at that one purple one, the very first one beside the one that has the collection on it, there are some interesting water birds in there. Egrets, or possibly flamingos, but not featured as pink. Also, there are moths, butterflies, flowers, lily pads, frogs. There's also a bamboo one. I'm not putting that on the screen, but there's a green bamboo. Would be good as like a blender in with it. So there you have it, Brett Lewis. He is, as all of the designers I've featured so far, I believe, they are very in tune with nature and animals and plants and all the things that compose beautiful fabric. So, hope you enjoyed that. That's our designer spotlight for this week, Brett Lewis. Let's see, what else do I have for you this week? I'm going to keep working on my projects that I have going on. I've already gotten this week in my planner to plan out how much time I'm going to spend on each project. And as I said earlier, I will be having that video for you on Wednesday. 3 more projects, small projects this time. Something you can do in an hour or 2 at the most, and might make some nice little impromptu gifts for friends and family when you're kind of at a loss of what to give someone who has everything and you don't have time to make an entire quilt. These will be helpful, and it'll help you get into your stash and pull out some of that gorgeous fabric that you haven't touched for a while, instead of just buying new fabric. I hope you guys are doing well on No Buy January. So far so good with me. I don't think I've bought anything, even notions, yet, but I am going to have to go to Hobby Lobby tomorrow and get one thing for our video on Wednesday. But never fear, it's not fabric. Let's see. Oh, I promised you I would do an update on my health. A few weeks ago, I was talking about how I was diagnosed with NASH, which is non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, which means that my liver is being damaged by fat. But interestingly, it's not just animal fat or even synthetic fats, or what we find, I don't know what you would call fats that aren't animal fat. Oils, maybe. Sugar is the culprit. Sugar is, it's almost 100% about the sugar, at least for me, according to my numbers. Now, there are several proteins in your liver that can be measured. There are 2. One is AST and one is ALT, and then there's a slew of others. But these 2 main ones that they check a lot kind of determine what's going on in your liver. And mine had gotten up into the 300s, and they're supposed to be more like 35. So off the charts big time. So I had to do something about that. The main thing was, obviously, stop sugar, watch your animal fats. Interestingly, olive oil is good. I should have olive oil, maybe more than I normally would. So that's good. At least I don't have to dry cook everything in broth or something. So I started this November 1st. losing weight, and to date I have lost 12 pounds. Now I've been there for about 3 weeks, and I talked to a dietitian. I have a nutritionist that calls me every 2 weeks, but she also referred me to a dietitian this week for some suggestions on how to get out of that plateau. So we'll see how that goes. They still want me to lose another 12 or so pounds. So, but I have until May to do that. So that's kind of at the rate they want it to be lost. So anyway, the numbers have come down to around 50-ish. One is actually within the range that it's supposed to be in. It's kind of like, if this is the range, it's about right here. And then the other one is just off the range, just barely off the range. So one it's corrected itself, and one I still need to work on. And probably the extra weight loss will put that back where it needs to be. So that is all in an effort to not cause any more damage to my liver. So the way things are right now, I don't have pain in my liver. I don't have digestive issues regarding my liver. Everything's quiet at this point. But I can't really let any more damage happen before I do start feeling some of those symptoms. And it can even affect other organs of your body, like your heart. So I'm on this journey to survive NASH. And it's going well. And it's in the early stages of going well. I've been famous in the past for starting a diet, dropping a lot of weight, and feeling like I got to the end of the journey and just started eating again like nobody's business. And I can't do that anymore. I just cannot do that. If there are any of you out there who have had this similar relationship with food or with diets, I encourage you to just say no to diets, really. I'm learning how to eat and how to be able to maintain a healthy weight. And if anything at all has come out of this help with a nutritionist and a dietitian, I know what kinds of foods I need to eat and how much of them to maintain. And I don't know that I've ever done that before. Now, I need to lose more, so I've got to get out of this plateau and get down a little more. But what I've learned is I've learned how to maintain. And I don't think I've ever done that before. So I'm hoping that with time, if I can stick with it for a good year, 18 months, I feel like I'll have it in the bag. My typical MO is, like I said, be on a diet, lose the weight I want to lose in 8 or 9 months, and then just stop and go back to my old ways. So I feel like if I can get past a year and some months, maybe it would actually stick. We'll see. I don't know. But I do understand fully that, this will start affecting the quality of my life. And who wants that? I've got a few decades left to live. So I'm hoping to stay around and be able to work on my YouTube channel for the next 30, 40 years. We'll see. All right. So that's that. And I'll keep you updated on it as things happen in the next few months. It's going to happen. I will get down to the weight that they want me to get down to. I know that I will. The key will be staying there. So I'm just glad that it was caught in time, so to speak, to potentially not ever cause me any problems, even though I do have some damage. But there it is. That's it. That's the update. I'm eating the Mediterranean diet pretty much. I'm not counting calories or grams or milligrams or anything like that. I get some Green Chef meals, and I choose the Mediterranean options. I don't do that for every meal of the week. I might do that for 3 meals. Usually, since my husband won't eat that, it's for 2. He won't eat that. I'll eat a meal size or a little more sometimes than my share of 2 meals, and then the rest of it I'll save for lunch the next day, so it's not getting wasted that way. And there's a decent amount of variety with those, and that's another thing. Variety has been a problem with me and diets. You know, I can stick with anything for 8 or 9 months. I've done it like 3 times, and then all of a sudden a switch gets flipped off in my brain and says, I ain't eating that food no more. So the Mediterranean diet does have a decent amount of variety. It's not processed food, which I like, and it's tasty. It's very tasty, and you can kind of change it up a lot of different ways. And I can have anything else I want whenever I want it. But me personally, I have decided, even though, you know, the people who are helping me says it doesn't mean you can never have sugar, I kind of feel like I need to never have sugar. Now, I will have maple syrup sometimes, just a little bit, like in oatmeal, or even honey in tea or whatever, or in oatmeal or whatever, in yogurt. But no refined sugar, and stay away from a lot of the breads and pastas, all those things that convert into sugar if you eat a lot of it. So yeah, Mediterranean, I mean, they have pasta and risotto and all kinds of things like that in their diet. So just kind of have to watch the portions. So enough of that. I don't want to bore you with my health stuff, but sometimes people ask and they want to know what's going on. And had you noticed back here my barn block mini? That is January. I can't tell you how long ago I did that. It wasn't this past January. It was one of my UFOs that I started this year. Well, not 2023, but during this past year, I finished all my barn block minis. I think I only had like 3 of them done from prior years, like years and years ago. So this one's pretty old. That represents January. So I thought you might like to see that, and maybe I'll just leave that up here for the month of January, and I'll put another one up in February. So there's that. And so you guys keep busy this week with your sewing projects, and find a little time to sew each day, even if it's just a few minutes, so that you can keep your marbles together in this crazy world that we live in. And be careful with the new strain of the virus. And I don't want any of you to be getting sick from that. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Gonna have some cute little projects for you to whip up on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that, and also for Finish It Friday. So have a great week. You can always email me at lessonslearnt2021@gmail.com to communicate with me. You can also see me sometimes out on Instagram at Lessons Learnt Quilts. And I'm thinking about starting a Facebook group. Let me know what you think about that down below. All right, have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.